Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. And in case you didn't know it, it is now officially fall. I know everyone was posting their pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin infused whatever come September 1st, but fall actually doesn't start towards the end of September, and I was holding on to summer for as long as possible, but it definitely feels like fall now, which means it's time for me to start putting out some cozy, yummy, and hearty fall recipes. And I thought of basic fall vegan meal prep would be a great way to start, because I know a lot of you guys meal prep, and even if you don't meal prep, these are all really yummy and easy recipes that you can make for yourself. And the word basic is definitely a double entendre, and if you don't know that phrase, you should add it to your vocab, because one, it's very fun to say, and two, it basically just means a pun, but it makes you sound really smart when you say it. But all these recipes are one, very, very basic in the sense that they only require simple, budget-friendly, and easily accessible ingredients, which I know a lot of you guys appreciate, but don't worry, they still taste delicious. And two, we're kind of embracing fall here, okay? We're gonna be making some fluffy pumpkin muffins, which are really, really, really good. I wish I had some now, but I ate them all. And then we're also going to be making a hearty kale salad with some crispy tempeh and a sweet potato and lentil soup for dinner. So they're all pretty quintessential fall recipes, at least for my personal diet. And yeah, I'm gonna show you how to make them in case you wanna go ahead and jump to all the recipes. They're all linked in the description below, but if you wanna watch the video, which I think you do because you just clicked on it, but stay tuned, I'm gonna show you how to make them right now. First up, we're going to be making some fluffy pumpkin muffins. Not only are they fluffy and delicious, but you only need one bowl to make them too, and they're gluten-free. So to start out, we are going to mix all of our wet ingredients together in a large bowl. We're going to be using 1 can of unsweetened pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie mix, along with 1/4 cup of nut or seed butter of your choice. If you're nut-free, you could use tahini, coconut butter, etc. And we're also going to add some unsweetened non-dairy milk, a touch of vanilla extract, and last but not least, some coconut sugar to sweeten things up. If you don't want to use coconut sugar, you can use another granulated sweetener like brown sugar or regular sugar as well. So you're going to mix all of that up till you get a thick, even, and uniform batter. And then we're going to add in our dry ingredients, and the bulk of it being oat flour, which is super easy and accessible and cheap. Then we're just going to add in some salt, baking powder, baking soda, and last but not least, we're going to be adding in some pumpkin pie spice. You can get this spice blend at most grocery stores, or there are also a ton of recipes online if you want to make it from the spices that you already have in your pantry. Either way, we're just going to mix this up until everything is evenly incorporated and there are no more lumps of oat flour and the batter is nice and thick, just like you can see here. And then we're going to add in some chopped walnuts. If you don't want to use chopped walnuts or you have a nut allergy, you could also use pumpkin seeds, or you could get a little fancy and add chocolate chips. I've also made this recipe with chocolate chips and it is very, very delicious. But whatever you want to do, you just mix those into the batter, and then now we're ready to put this into a greased or lined muffin tin. So you're going to take about 1/2 cup of batter for each muffin. This recipe makes 12, but I'm just showing you here with a 6 muffin tin. So you're going to plop about 1/2 cup of batter into each muffin tin. Then you might have a little extra on the top. Just smooth the muffins out, and then you can top it with a few extra walnuts or chocolate chips or whatever right before you place it into the oven. And these are going to bake and get nice and golden and brown and fluffy. Just look at the rise on those babies. I'll show you an inside shot in a little bit, but for now we're going to let them cool completely on a baking rack. And then once they're done, you'll have 12 delicious, fluffy, filling, yummy muffins. And this is what they look like on the inside. The pumpkin helps to keep them nice and moist, but they also have this really fluffy and hearty texture to them. So I would eat a couple of these for breakfast, maybe alongside a piece of fruit with a latte or something like that, but you do you. And now for lunch, I'm going to show you how to make an everyday kale salad with crispy tempeh with a few different variations. But first up, we're going to be making our crispy tempeh. So for this recipe, you'll need 1 block of tempeh. I'd say this serves probably 2 for lunch. You could double it if you wanted to make more lunches like this. But this is tempeh. It's basically just a form of whole fermented soybeans, kind of like tofu, but it has a nicer texture to it. So we're going to cut our tempeh into cubes. To do this, I like to cut the block in half and then make little 1/2-inch cubes from there on out. So after you you chop all of your tempeh up. We actually are not going to marinate it today. This recipe is really easy to make, and you're just going to put it in a bowl and then drizzle it with some soy sauce or tamari. Soy sauce is gluten-free, so I'm using tamari here. You could also use liquid aminos, and then use a spoon to toss the tempeh in the tamari or soy sauce or whatever until it absorbs all of the liquid and becomes nice and golden brown and evenly coated. And then after that, we're going to sprinkle on some nutritional yeast. So this is a very similar method to baking my crispy tofu, and I tested it with the tempeh and it totally works, and it takes about like half the time. Also, you can bake this in the oven or the air fryer. I will have the full instructions linked in the blog post below, but I would highly, highly recommend this recipe. You could even toss some extra spices onto the tempeh if you wanted to switch up the flavor a little bit, like some garlic powder or something. But basically, you're going to plop your tempeh onto a lined baking sheet, and you just want to spread it out enough so the cubes aren't really touching. This will help them to get nice and golden and crispy, and pop it in the oven. But in the meantime, we're going to be working on our everyday kale salad. And I thought it would be helpful to review how to actually de-stem kale with you guys. So kale has this really tough inner vein, if you will, that tastes really bitter. So all you really have to do is pinch towards the bottom of the vein, stalk, that's the word, and slide your finger down, and it removes the stalk, which isn't very enjoyable to eat. And then you have your tender kale leaves, which we are going to further tenderize by massaging them. So after you de-stem all your kale and roughly chop it up, we're going to toss it with some lemon juice and a little bit of olive oil, or you could use mashed avocado or blended cashews. I have oil-free recommendations in the recipe notes, with a pinch of salt and some black pepper. And we're going to massage this into the kale. So kale is a very hearty green. It has a lot of fiber in it, and it does have a bitter flavor to it. It can. But when you massage it in dressing, it helps to tenderize it and makes it a lot easier to digest and chew. As you can see, it decreases a lot in size, and it becomes almost translucent in color because you're breaking up the cell wall of the kale. So now we're going to add in some thinly sliced red cabbage and some grated carrot. And then we're going to add some freshly chopped herbs of choice. Today I'm using parsley, but the salad is really versatile. You could also use cilantro or mint or basil or a combination of any of those herbs. I created the salad sort of as an everyday kale salad, so you'd be inspired to eat your greens every day, but also because it's really customizable, and all these ingredients are pretty affordable and will also keep in the fridge for a very long time without getting wilted. So it's perfect for meal prep. So if you wanted to serve this salad as like an actual salad, you can put it into a serving bowl. And the last step is to top it with a little bit of crunchy element and to get some healthy fats in there. So I'm using some slivered almonds today, but you could also use pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds if you have a nut allergy. But that's it for the salad. But back to the meal prep. Our tempeh has cooked, and look how golden and yummy and delicious this is. They are so good. They're crunchy on the outside and have a nice chew to them, which I really love, and it's a great source of plant-based protein. And you could totally just enjoy the salad and tempeh on their own if you want for lunch, but I wanted to give you guys some options here. You could also make a Buddha bowl like you see on the right with some cooked rice, or you could stuff it into a gluten-free or whole wheat tortilla for a fun little wrap. You know, it's highly versatile, it's yummy, it's delicious, it's filling, it's colorful, looks pretty, all the good stuff. But now we're moving on to dinner, or at least the video is, and I'm going to show you how to make some sweet potato soup. This recipe is really, really easy as well. It's only 8 ingredients. So we're going to add some vegetable broth or neutral cooking oil to a pot, along with a diced yellow onion. We're going to saute that over medium heat until it becomes nice and translucent, which generally is about 3 to 5 minutes. Then we're going to add in our other aromatics. So we're going to add in some minced garlic, plus some freshly chopped rosemary and thyme. You can use dried spices if you like, but I personally prefer to use fresh spices because they have so much more flavor. Trust me, they really do. But now we're just going to saute everything together, probably for another minute or two, just to sort of get those flavors into the onions. And then we're going to add in some brown lentils. I'm using dried lentils here. They're going to absorb the soup broth as they cook and get really, really yummy. And we're also adding in some cubed and diced sweet potatoes. This is about 2 medium to large sweet potatoes. Last but not least, we need some liquid. So we're going to add some low sodium vegetable broth, or if you make your own veggie broth, you could use that as well. And then just mix everything together and bring this to a boil over high heat. And once everything comes to a boil, we're going to cover it and simmer it on medium-low for about 20 to 30 minutes or so. The sweet potato will cook and the lentils will become nice and tender. And the last step is to stir in our baby spinach just to get some nice greens in there. We don't have to cook it with the soup because it's a very tender green, and honestly just the heat from the soup will cook the spinach. So I believe I'm going to add it in right now. And yep, you just mix it up. If you don't like spinach or you want to use another green, you could use kale or chopped collard greens, or just skip it all together. You could even throw some frozen spinach in there, maybe add some peas. But if you do use a more hearty green like kale or collard greens, you want to add it a little bit before the soup stops cooking, just because that won't wilt as easily as the spinach does. And last but not least, we're just going to add some salt and pepper to taste, and that is it for our soup. This is a nice and filling dinner, and if you wanted to bulk it up a little bit more, you could serve it with a side salad or a piece of crusty bread, and you can enjoy it on its own as well. I don't know. Do you guys think it would be good with chopped avocado on top? I'm trying to decide that right now. Okay. Anyways, you can store it just in the pot in the fridge. Sometimes I do that, maybe because I'm lazy, but it also would need a really big container. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't want to do that, you can also store it in some glass Tupperware containers that are sort of already pre-portioned out for you, which makes heating up your dinner a heck of a lot easier. All right, guys, and that is it for my basic fall vegan meal prep. Let me know your favorite thing about fall in the comments below. Fall is my favorite season, so that's actually pretty hard for me, but I think my favorite thing is the clothing. I just love like loose fitting, baggy clothing and sweaters, and it just feels like a hug when you get to wear it all day. And when you get to cuddle up in your clothes, it's all like pretty outside, you get to drink tea, and all the stuff that's associated, I guess, with sweater weather. Is that basic? I don't know. At least my favorite's on pumpkin spice latte. But you know, if you like that, honestly, they're good too. So no shade on you. But yeah, let me know. And also, I love fall. So I have a ton of recipe ideas for fall, and they're all coming to you guys soon. But if you have anything that you would like for me to make, please leave a comment below and let me know too. I would be more than happy to make your fall desires / dreams come true. If you're new to my channel and you like what you see here, feel free to hit that little subscribe button right down there. I post 1 to 2 new recipe videos every single week. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, whatever time of day it is for you. Happy fall or autumn if we want to be fancy. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.